So I want to share something really cool that happened yesterday. So all of last week, I was talking with people and about my business, and a bunch of people wanted to help me. So they asked me for a one-pager. Now, if you don't know what a one-pager is, it's basically it communicates what your service does, what your business does on one page. So it should be pretty simple, but it was super hard for me. And I realized that all of last week I kept putting it off. I kept pushing it off, and I didn't, I knew I had to sit down and do it, but I just kept doing other things. And I didn't fully understand why I was doing it. But then after a while, I kind of did realize what it was. It was fear. It was fear because I had just worked with a client for about 3 weeks. I've been working in Korea for the past 2 years, helping Korean companies. I see the wow moments. I see the value that we are giving, but I didn't know how to clearly articulate it. That's the problem. That was the big problem. And I knew that I wanted to better articulate it, but I didn't know how to do it. And so when I was suddenly faced with these people who want to help me, I'm so thankful, but I think I was afraid. I think I was afraid because I didn't have it organized in my head. I didn't know where to start. I guess I didn't know where to start. I wanted to meet with people and then maybe have, as I speak it out loud, they can help me organize my thoughts. And I had set up a few of those sessions, and I'm so thankful for them. But still, I don't know, there was just something that it just kept holding me back. And last night, it was something kind of unrelated. I was just doing the dishes, and I was watching this video of these people who are cold callers. And for some reason, I don't know why, but that like randomly sparked this thing in me where I'm like, well, I need to work on this one pager. I've been putting it off for 1 week. Why don't I just do it? But to do it by myself is really hard. Like I always say that it's always easier. I can look at someone else's business and say, this is the pros and cons. I can help them refine it, but I can't seem to do it for myself. Maybe it's some of these internal biases, the inner critic that I have, but I always had trouble with this. But what if I had a helper? AKA ChatGPT. And I didn't feel like writing. I just kind of wanted to talk about it. So what I did was I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to try this. So, and then even with ChatGPT, I kept thinking like, well, what prompt am I going to use to get the best result? And you know what? I was so tired of this. I was so tired of putting it off that I just said, forget it. So I just grabbed my phone, went into the bedroom. There's a voice dictation feature. So you just, I tapped that and I just started talking. I just like, look, I don't know what I'm doing. I feel fearful. I'm afraid of sitting down and writing down this one pager. I just need you to listen and reflect back or something like that. It was not a good prompt. It was not a good prompt. It did not use best practices, but I just didn't care. And I started talking about like, it asked me like, what was some of my past experiences, what went well with past clients. And I started realizing things were coming back to me. As I was talking about it, I started having these memories of the past 3 months and the past 2 years of things that were going well. And as I started talking and I started remembering these things, I started getting more excited. And I started making these connections. And it was also, ChatGPT was also asking me really good questions. And so I'm just like, yes. And so I ended up talking for about 1 hour, just going back and forth. And it helped me crystallize some of the thoughts that I had of like, one example is I had this offer, or I help companies with their product discovery, but what does product discovery mean? It means which products should you build that customers will actually love and pay for, rather than just products that I think I should make. So my normal kind of logical progression of how I would think about this is, let's start with the company goal. Let's start with the company mission, vision, strategy, big picture. Then let's go down to, what is your goal for the quarter? Then once you figure that out, who is the target customer that you're going to focus on that will help you achieve your goal? And then it's like, what do you know about the customer? Have you talked to them? And then you have to organize all their feedback that has come back and prioritize them and choose the most, need, and then think about solutions. So that's like the ideal flow. But what I was realizing was, number one, it felt too heavy. Like, these workshops were days. And then after that, we do practical application. That takes weeks. And I'm like, if there is a customer, a client that goes through that whole process with me, then they'll see the value. And I've seen it. But I kept thinking, I'm like, is this the right way of doing it? Can I get to the wow point faster? I kept wondering that. And number two, I kept thinking, the way that I ordered these workshops was not necessarily customer focused. It was me focused. It was logic focused. Like, logically, you should go from big picture to smaller to, big vision to quarterly goal to what I'm going to do right now, which totally makes sense logically. But the problem is, I kept feeling that that is the way I think, but that's not the way our customers think. And so I realized that way of doing business makes a lot of sense if the client has complete trust in me. They completely believe me. They completely will do whatever I say. But oftentimes, even for the clients that really believe in my methods, they also have doubts. And it's not only them, it's their executive team, the product teams, the other people in other departments. They're wondering, like, they'd ask, like, why are we doing this? Why are we spending so much time on this process with Sam? And so I'm like, what is a better way? Like, I realize it's not so much the logical progression that's more important. It is the actual, what does the customer need? I need to build trust with them. If I build trust with them, they will want to do everything else. If I build that wow moment, if I build an early win, then I'll do that. So I couldn't reconcile this stuff. And it just kept staying in the back of my mind. I'm sure some of you know what I feel, what I'm talking about, where it's like, there should be some improvement to what you're building, but you're just like, something's off. But I didn't know how to articulate. I didn't know where to start. I kind of didn't want to start, to be honest. I kind of didn't want to be fully transparent and vulnerable, because I didn't know where to begin. But yesterday, having ChatGPT kind of guide me through these questions, it was super helpful. By the way, I'm just in the forest. I should just probably head back now. It was super helpful. And after an hour, it helped me merge together different ideas. And honestly, it was probably mostly me. It was probably 70, 80% me. But just having ChatGPT respond back and reflect back some of my thoughts. And sometimes it adds a little bit of an insight that I didn't think about, and it triggers another memory. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is it. Yeah, this is what I was going to talk about. And so that's been, that was really fun. So anyway, as soon as I went through this process, my mind is racing. Ever since last night, even in my dream, I was thinking about ways of refining this pitch. So now I do have a one-pager, and I shared it with a few people, and I think something is there. I do need to make improvements, but I guess the reason I wanted to share, spiderweb. I think the reason I wanted to share this was because, the concept of a learning entrepreneur, man, I learned a lot last week. I learned about myself, about being afraid, of not wanting to get started, of not knowing where to start, of consciously and unconsciously pushing that task away, which is just slowing down progress. And then finding a tool or something, a trigger, something to kind of ignite me saying, hey, I want to do something about this instead of just waiting. And I did it, and I used ChatGPT, and it was amazing. And what's nice about ChatGPT is it's available 24/7 to me. So I'm super thankful. And now where I am, I went from last week not knowing what I should talk about to right now, I'm getting really excited about this offering that I have and which target customers I can go after. But also, I am very clear that this is all a hypothesis. This is all a hypothesis of how I'm positioning my services, of how I'm going to help companies go from normally 3 months of developing a product, and then I want to get them down to 3 hours. And it sounds crazy, and I kind of like that I was looking for something that had an interesting hook that people are like, what? That sounds impossible. And then you kind of walk them through the logic of how do you get from 3 months to down to 3 weeks, down to 3 days, down to 3 hours. And so I think it has a really interesting hook. There's a few questions that I have of whether this value proposition makes sense, but my point is, I made progress. I think that's like the biggest thing, that I think the biggest enemy to this entrepreneurship journey is the desire to seek perfection and to seek a really good solution and the real right timing. And you know what? Oftentimes there isn't. You just got to start. But even when you know that you should just start, especially if you're a solo, I mean, my wife is my co-founder, but even then, like sometimes you just need some type of help. That could be a co-founder, that could be a friend, that could be an accountability partner, that could be a random podcast that you watch about cold emails. But the point is, I think if you just kind of keep it in your mind and you keep thinking, I want to act on this, I want to do something about this, I don't want to just wait, something can happen. And so, yeah, I just wanted to kind of share that story of a success, a mini success story. I still need to go out and pitch this one pager to different customers and see what they think. But I'm just very thankful. I'm just very thankful. I'm really encouraged by the fact that I made this progress. I'm excited about the feelings inside me of like wanting to share this, and I can see a path to this becoming a bigger thing. And I wanted to share it with y'all. So I don't once again, I don't know who's watching, but I'm hoping that this video can help others who are also kind of stuck in thinking mode like I was, and consciously and unconsciously pushing away the task that you think that you know that you need. So I used AI to help me. I used ChatGPT to help me. Maybe it could help you. But I guess today what I wanted to do is just encourage you, share my story, and show that you are not alone, and that we're in this together. And when we're in this community of trying to solve problems in this world to make the world a better place, and using our gifts and talents and interests and experiences and passions to make the world a better place. So I know it sounds kind of lofty and ideal, but hey, that's what I'm aiming for. Anyway, thanks for listening. See ya.